Good morning. It's, as we've been saying all through the conference, it's bittersweet to be in this position knowing this is the last time I get to address all of you. Alan was giving you a sense of what the program's accomplished, and by that what we mean is really what all of you scholars have accomplished. I want to flip the data a little bit on what the impact has been of the program on the disciplines. If I can get the, oop, that's the pointer. There we go. If we go back to 1993, which is the year the program, first cohort came in, and we ask ourselves, what did the three departments in the disciplinary areas look like? It's pretty hard to figure that out now. There's nothing online that gives you the list of all the faculty who were all in these departments back then. But a few years ago, I did do a pretty deep dive and tried to reconstruct this for political science. And what I found was, in political science, in the top 35 departments as ranked by US News, for better or for worse, there was one person who had a joint appointment in a top 5 department. There was one person who had a primary appointment in a top 25 department, and if you put that together with the other one, there were 2 people, basically, in the top 35 political science departments who had formal appointments of some kind in political science who did health. That's what the world looked like. I don't know what economics was, I don't know what sociology was, but that was political science. Well, now let's just take the scholars. Of course, there are a lot of people who are now doing health policy and health politics and health sociology and so on who are not from this program, but just take you guys. Just take the folks who are in this program and start with political science now, holding primary appointments. Fundamental transformation of the top departments in that field. Economics, significant impact, and sociology, even more. Just think about this. It's unbelievable that a foundation could have a program that could transform our disciplinary departments that effectively. And of course, the objectives of the program were not just to have people in the disciplinary departments. People are in all kinds of academic and non-academic settings doing important work of various kinds. This is just one piece of the story. Let me take a little bit of a look at the non-disciplinary academic departments. And what you find, as Alan noted, we have many scholars who are now in professional schools, a very significant number in public policy programs, public health schools, and law schools, with a very good representation among the top ranks of those institutions as well. And if you look at the non-academic institutions, the research institutions, centers, and think tanks, we've got people in all the places you'd want them to be to have impact on health policy. The point is, this has been a phenomenally successful program, one that the foundation should be, in fact, very, very proud of. That is my serious part of, and I don't actually have a really humorous part of the conversation here. I just want to take a few moments for personal reflection, if I could. It's my one opportunity to wrap up my sense of having interacted with people since literally the fall of 1993. So yes, the start of the Clinton administration, the first Clinton administration. And as I was thinking about this program, I developed a kind of LA metaphor for it and what makes it work. We live in our house about 2/3 of a block away from Fox Studios, the film and television studios. So our neighborhood is often used to film scenes from Modern Family, from Life in Pieces, and many other kinds of programs, even commercials. And what's striking is what happens when they are coming in to produce a scene that might last 2 minutes in a program. There is truck after truck after truck after truck of equipment, lighting equipment, camera equipment, costumes, props, the caterers, then many, many trucks or dressing rooms for the various cast members. There's cables strung out all over the place. They've got lights and cranes. You walk out of your house and this is what you see. It seems like hundreds of people all there spending hours doing all the things they need to do in an integrated way to produce 2 minutes in a comedy show. And in some ways, obviously this program is not that kind of program. It's not a comedy show, but it has taken hundreds of people in a way to make it work. The scholars, of course, you guys, you are the whole story here. You are the ones who've made this so rewarding for all of us who've been involved in the program from the get-go. And watching you has been extraordinary. I have to say, I have learned so much personally from all the work that you've done, attending all these annual meetings, reading the papers, and so on, in all the ways that you've contributed. I do also want to underscore the foundation. This is a pretty brave thing to do, spend a significant amount of money with a commitment that they wouldn't know whether it would actually have any positive impact for at least a decade. They knew they're going to have to keep at it and not wait for immediate return on the investment, and the foundation kept with it for over 2 decades. A pretty remarkable statement about a commitment of the institution, and I certainly have appreciated very much working early on with Jim Nickman and David Colby, who's been a dear friend for a very long time, and Lori for many years with this program and the Investigator Awards program. Then you think of the site directors. Ted Marmer at Yale, at Berkeley, Richard Shefford and John Elwood and Ann Keller, Harvard, Nicholas Christakis, Kathy Swartz, Michigan, Catherine McLaughlin, Michael Chernew, Paula Lance, Edward Norton. You can't imagine a more varied group of people. You would not expect to encounter them all in the same place, but here they all are part of this program. All have been completely dedicated to the program and made enormous strides in taking sometimes institutions that are deeply resistant to doing anything outside of silos and making them work. The National Advisory Committee. It's been my pleasure to be on from the beginning of selecting Cohort 1 and to have been chairing it for, I guess, the last 14 years. There was when we had to choose one of the sites to go, which was Yale, and a new site was coming in. I was at our place in Maine, and I came back, and on the answering machine, there was a message from Alan. He said, "Mark, I need to talk to you about the Scholars Program." And I thought, geez, my time is up. It's been fun, really enjoyed it. Great experience. I really don't want to return this phone call because I know I'm getting the bow out. And instead, he asked me to chair the damn thing. So it's been one of the greatest phone calls I've ever made, and greatly appreciate all that. But the National Advisory Committee, we talked about this yesterday at our meeting. In a way, we wish we could have opened the doors and revealed to all of you what it was like in the back room of the Scholars Program, because I have never been part of anything that has been a better representation of what the Academy should be about. How people of different methodological orientations, different disciplines, different perspectives on a number of issues could come together and have nothing but deep substantive discussions about the applicants and the policy issues associated with the program, who could agree and disagree in ways that were not at all confrontational, but all part of an extraordinarily collegial process. You have all, in a way, benefited from this thing going on behind the curtain, but that thing behind the curtain has been pretty extraordinary. And then we have the program office, of course, Katie Player and Melissa Manuelos, Jed Horowitz, Christine Heilbig, Tracy Brown now, and so happy that Eileen Connor is here, who was from the beginning and really set the stage for how things proceeded with the program. But I do want to highlight 3 people in particular, if I may. We've already discussed Raashi Fine. Alan's mentioned him a number of times. He was on the steering committee in the original design, and in many ways I think Raashi was to be an exemplar of someone who had accomplished the kind of career we wanted to replicate over and over and over again. Accomplished scholar, distinguished scholar, who was doing policy-relevant work and speaking and affecting and influencing directly policymakers. He also, of course, was one of the world's most wonderful human beings, and as NAC chair, following in his footsteps, that was one of the biggest challenges I've ever faced, trying to live up, with him present all the time, trying to live up to what the standards that he had created. Another person you've come to know quite well, Jim Rohn, who was also on that steering committee. And I take Jim as being, he was really young then. I mean, we're really talking young. But he was one of the people in the political science discipline who was treating this subject seriously. And I think Jim was the exemplar of what we could do with this program if we could have this kind of opportunity for young people to come in. Jim and I always joke that we just missed this program. We had to do all this work ourselves. We didn't have the 2 years at sites, but Jim really was the foundation for all of that. A terrific friend, a great intellectual, and as you know, brings tremendous spirit to any enterprise and has uplifted us at all the meetings in which he's been present. And then finally, of course, Alan Cohen. It's hard to imagine that someone present at the creation like Alan could bring some vision, depth, capacity to listen, and also to make decisions that need to be made, and to orchestrate this incredibly complex, that Hollywood set, this incredibly complex experience for all of us, and make it work so smoothly, know how to put together a talented team. If any of you ever are in a position where you are going to be running a program or being a dean of a school, whatever it might be, and you want to know what you need to do and how to do it, to manage and to direct a program, Alan is the best person to turn to. I've learned a massive amount from just sitting by his side and watching what he does. My one word of warning, never play chess or poker with Alan. He knows all the cards, he knows all the pieces, he knows all the plays. His memory is astonishing, despite whatever decay may have happened since that early picture, but truly exemplary. Now, the last thing I want to say is, as I put up these 3 pictures, is to suggest you're looking at a generational profile here. Take away this generation, including me, and the members of the NAC of this generation, and you look around this room, and you see how this program, along with other initiatives of the foundation, are transforming the demographics of the academy and work in health politics and policy. And I dare say the founders of the next generations of programs and initiatives, whether it's this foundation or other foundations or universities around the country, are going to look a lot different from these portraits here. And that's a major part of the contribution of this program. Thank you very much, everybody.